Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. House Majority Whip, U.S. on track to repeat. N-A-Z-I, Germany. Uh-oh. House Majority Whip James Clyburn claims U.S. will resemble Germany in the 1930s, pointing blame at far-right extremism. These people are absolutely out of their minds. Either they truly believe it, which is scary enough, or they're just plain old scumbags just trying to gin up their base because they're going to get their asses handed to them. Before we get in the article, I want to ask my subscribers and the people that are watching here, been getting notifications that subscribers are getting unsubscribed, and people that push the notification bell for all videos are being unnotified. So check your subscription status if you're a subscriber. And if you're not, please consider subscribing if you think my content is worth it. And also check your notification bell. And if you do, click all on the videos. I'd appreciate it. Because weird things are happening on this website. Let's listen to this stupidity.
And I said this in 2018. It caught a lot of hell from a lot of people for having said it, but it was true then and it's true now. This country is on track to repeat what happened in Germany when it was the greatest democracy going, elected a chancellor who then co-opted the media, that this past president calling the press the enemy of the people. That is a bunch of crap, and we know it. And that's what's going on in this country.
Well, how do you even make a comment to that kind of stupidity? That kind of stupidity. Clyburn, if you remember, was the Congress member that endorsed Biden late in the primary season when the Democrats were ripping each other to pieces, and then made the deal where everybody dropped out, so allowed Joe Biden to get the nomination. Oh, the attack on Pelosi is a demonization of her. Well, you know what? Where was he? Where was he when the Bernie supporter opened fire on the Republican baseball game practice? Where was his big mouth? This is what happens in a country that follows Germany in the early 30s. This country is on track to repeat, blah, blah, blah. It's absolutely total bull. This past president called the press the enemy of the people. Well, most of them are. Most of them are. Not so much the enemy of the direct people, but the enemy of the republic. Let's just tell the truth here. Maybe they'll get their act together. Maybe they won't. Oh, gosh. President Biden gave an impromptu speech in his major address before Election Day, and he seemed to point the finger at the right for the Pelosi attack. What a crock of crap. He was just a nut bar. If you really want to get in the weeds a little bit, this guy was a Green Party leftist nut. Huge mental issues, drug addiction issues. Just like the guy that shot up the Republican baseball practice. The guy was just a nut. Though South Carolina Democrat decried the right's demonization of Nancy Pelosi that he seems to blame for the attack, Clyburn doesn't see Biden's frequent vilification of ultra-mega Republicans as an equivalent. Of course he doesn't. They have nothing else to offer but fear. They have nothing else to offer. They have failed in spectacular fashion. Spectacular. I'm old enough to remember the Jimmy Carter days. I have never seen Democrats self-destruct and burn themselves up than they are right now. The president's harsh rhetoric of Trump supporters is entirely different. Well, of course it's different because you're saying it, right? Because Biden is directing his attacks at a philosophy and not at individuals. Isn't that an interesting play on words? Who writes this crappy script for them? See, you can't have a criticism if you're attacking a philosophy. That's incredible to me. Well, that's why we Americans should vote to keep the Democrats control of Congress despite record high inflation and rising gas prices. Claiborne downplayed economic concerns. Well, of course, he's set. Most of the Congress members are set with their insider trading on stocks. They're all multi-millionaires. Because Claiborne's been in Congress since they invented dirt. When he does retire, he'll get $8-10 grand a month plus free medical for the rest of his life. Plus, God knows what else he's stashed. And he'll get a job at some think tank or nonprofit for a couple $100 grand a year to show up 3 times a year. I think that people should be voting their own self-interest, and their self-interest is much more than you may or may not be paying for gas or a loaf of bread. Really? 1930s Germany. Who cares about if you can drive to work? Who cares if you can eat? There's more important things. Give me a break. It's incredible to me. And this is on the tails of the story that the federal government, the Department of Justice, has been working hand in glove with the social media monsters to control the flow of information. And what information gets out and what gets stifled in direct conflict with the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. And he's talking about authoritarian regimes. These people suck so bad. Claiborne went on to suggest the choice between Democrats and Republicans is whether to vote for a democracy or autocracy, echoing Biden's Wednesday night. Are we going to have a society that everyone can participate in, or are we going to have an autocracy? What does everybody participate in? These general statements mean absolutely nothing. Unbelievable. How do you even respond to that while losing your temper? Democrats are sounding the alarm over election denialism throughout the midterms, often pointing to Republicans who refuse to certify presidential elections. Of course, the January 6th riot. Well, the only person killed was a protester, an Air Force veteran. However, Claiborne is among a group of Democrats who voted against awarding Ohio's electoral votes to President Bush in 2005, despite Bush winning the state by over 118,000. The group of Democrats cited election irregularities as their reasoning for delaying the certification of the 2004 presidential results. It's called virtue signaling, you piece of garbage. You knew the Electoral College would go towards George Bush, but you had to show how you care about the system so much, knowing it was going to pass anyway. It's virtue signaling. When asked of this constitutional election denialism, the majority whip shot down the question. It's totally different. Well, of course it's totally different because I did it. We didn't call anybody about a change in the votes. Yeah, you did. You did. We just voted on the process. Oh, I see how that works. I'm on a jury for a capital case, a murder trial, and I vote guilty in the penalty phase. I vote for the death penalty. I don't actually do the death penalty. I just voted on it. I don't necessarily agree with it. These people suck so bad. Nobody stormed the Capitol. Oh, really? What about all the federal buildings in 2020 that were being overrun in cities? Where they tried to burn federal employees inside alive with Molotov cocktails. I guess that doesn't count. We only voted to protest the process, which means you wasted it. It's virtue signaling. Virtue signal is legitimate in this country, but it makes you a hypocritical piece of. I'm going to get all worked up, but these guys are really starting to piss me off. The Democratic Party is taking heat over the support of several far-right candidates in GOP primaries who are often branded. Yeah, they put money in what they thought were the MAGA extremists, Democrat groups, in hope that they would lose the general election because they're so extreme. This strategy appears to be backfiring, at least in one race where the far-right candidate could potentially win. What does far-right mean? Nobody even knows anymore. Democrats spent $3.2 million boosting Republican Don Bolduc in the New Hampshire Senate primary. Now, as a GOP nominee in the general election, he's expected success is raising concerns among Democrats as polls show him closing in on Senator Hassan. Claiborne, a third-ranking Democrat, appeared to distance himself from the party on this issue and says, not anything I would advocate. They're actually literally saying that this is like 1930s Germany. History is repeating itself in one of the biggest democracy in the world at the time, which is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The stock market crash was a worldwide depression. And at the same time, the countries that won in World War I had just draconian things they did to Germany and the armistice. They made them pay billions and billions at the time, trillions in today's money that they didn't have. Plus, the inflation was running rampant because of the policies of Europe. Unbelievable. Yeah, a bad man filled the void. They're trying to compare President Trump and the Republicans to the party in Germany in the 1930s. Unbelievable. They took over the media in the 1930s. The media is at direct odds against the Republicans and President Trump. And other Republicans, not just Trump. People suck so bad. They had to put fear in people's hearts. I hope they're all voted out. Now, guys like Claiborne will be there forever until they pass away, whatever. But you know what? Get rid of these people. I'm a former Democrat. I used to be a local elected official in upstate New York. I can't stand them anymore. And then they pull this crap. Unbelievable. January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. You know, give it a rest. Not one peep about the billions of dollars that were damaged they were caused in 2020, and not one peep about Antifa and BLM rioters that were trying to storm the White House, end up burning down guard shacks, injuring dozens and dozens of Secret Service agents, and almost burning down one of the oldest churches in Washington, D.C., if not the country. A church that James Madison attended as president. And not a freaking peep. You know what? These people need to go. They need to be a blip in history. It's up to the American people to decide, as usual. And before I get too mad, I'll just sign off and say until next time, goodbye and good luck.